So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of Spring REST playlist. I'm Abhishek Verma and in today's video we will see how to perform unit testing of our controller layer. So far we have been developing the APIs and today we will see how to do the testing of those APIs. Now the intention of this video is not to teach you about JUnit or Mockito, and instead I'm assuming that you already know about JUnit and Mockito. My main goal is only to test the controller layer using JUnit and Mockito because these things are going to be available automatically the moment we are going to add Spring Boot test dependency. Beside this, if you will say what about the repository layer and the service layer? So those we have already covered in the previous playlist of Spring Data JPA and Spring Basics with Spring Boot. But still, I will cover a brief of testing the repository layer as well as service layer also, so that at the end we can easily compare the annotations used in the repository layer, service layer and the controller layer testing. So without wasting any more time, let's directly get started and see how the things are going to look like. So now we are in the IDE, and before we start with our today's demo, first of all, let's do a quick recap and see what we did in the last demo number 19. So if you remember that last time we created two demos basically, demo 19 client and demo 19 server. And in this demo 19, we were actually learning about how to create Spring Boot admin client and Spring Boot admin server. For this, the job was very simple. We just need to go to this pom.xml and there we need to add a dependency of admin starter client. And in the other one, that is this pom.xml, there we need to add the dependency for admin starter server. And that's it. The moment you are going to run it, and beside this, obviously, we need to do a bit more configuration. So you will be able to see this kind of UI. So you can see the client has registered on the server and it is providing much more details also. Not only this, since in the server, we have added the dependency of mail. Hence, the server will automatically send a mail which is going to look something like this whenever your client will go up or it will go down. So this is something which we learned in the last demo. So now let me just close it, something like this and this and this. And now let's move on with our today's demo, that is demo number 20. So in this demo number 20, first of all, let me show you the UML diagram. So this is something different which we have been doing in the previous videos, because earlier you used to remember that I used to show you the UML diagram of the previous demos and then directly we used to start with the demo on which we are going to work. But here the thing is that since today we just need to perform the unit testing only, hence there won't be any big change in the main Java classes or the properties file. Hence, I'm showing you the UML diagram before we are going to write the test cases. So here, first of all, let me just increase the size a bit by clicking something like this. And now let me just go here. So you see that in today's demo, we are going to have a demo class, which is just containing a main method. Then in the controller, we are having three methods: saving the owner, finding a particular owner, and getting all the owners by pet date of birth between. So this save owner is going to be a post mapping, find owner is going to be a get mapping, and this third one is also going to be a get mapping only, but there we will be making usage of the request param. So hence we will see how to test all these APIs. Besides this, in the service layer also, we are having the same three methods, and in the repository layer, we just need to create one custom method, because other methods are going to be available to us automatically from the JP repository. Then you see we are having this owner mapper, which is a static class. Then beside this, we are having the controller advice. We are having the custom exceptions also. Then we are having owner DTO and pet DTO. Between them, we were having one-on-one relationship. Under pet DTO, we have domestic pet DTO and wild pet DTO. We were also having the enums for the gender as well as pet type. Then beside this, we are having the owner entity class, pet entity class with again one-on-one relationship. And under pet, we are having domestic pet and the wild pet. We are also making usage of Lombok here so that we can get the boilerplate code here. Now, if I will just go on towards this controller, so it is going to look something like this. And again, here you can see First one is a post mapping, then we have a get mapping, and then again this is going to be a get mapping, something like this. Then if I will just go here and I'm going to start it something like this, demo number 20. So let me just give it a start so that we can see that how our API input and how our API output is going to look like. Yeah, just as a revision. Otherwise, it's the same APIs which we have created so far in so many demos. Okay, not even one demo, but so many demos. So here if we go to this demo 20, so first let me show you this find owner, and here if I say 73, so for this 73 you see I'm getting 404 not found because this ID doesn't exist. And if I say it as something as 72, so in that case I will be getting an output something like this. Yeah, this is a wild pet. And in case if I'm just saying here something as let's say 12, so in that case I will be again getting an output, but this time it's a domestic pet. And in case if I will give a negative output something like this, then again I will be getting an error, but this time it is 400 bad request and the message is owner ID must be a positive number. So this I'm only showing for those people who are directly starting with this demo and they just want to see that how we are going to perform the unit testing. So just a quick revision for them. Then for this next API, you see here the only difference is that we are providing the start date and end date with the help of request param. Both of them are optional. In case if you are not going to provide, then automatically in our controller layer, we have mentioned the default dates also. And if we will execute this one, then we will be able to see the list of all the owners and all the pets whose pets born between this particular range. And obviously it is going to provide me a domestic pet list only. Yeah? So it is going to look something like this. And you can see there are 6 pets available here. And then this save owner, this post mapping, which is going to look something like this. And here we are going to provide all the details. Now, if I will click on this send, then I will be getting here as 201 created, and here I will be getting 73. In case if I will remove 1 or 2 or some of these things, so let's say something like this. So in that case, here I will be getting some error messages that first name of the owner is mandatory or last name of the owner is mandatory. Again, something like this, it is going to look here. And in this one also, here if we will give some wrong thing, so let's say this year is in future, let's make it as 2030. So in that case also, we will be getting some errors here, that is start date can be past or present date only. So again, this is going to look something like this. Again, this is just a refresh or this is just a revision for those who are just watching this video. Otherwise, if you want to learn these things in detail, then you need to watch all these demo in the same serial order. Yeah, I mean, that is something you need to do. Yeah. So now let's go on here and let's close this one, something like this. So let's stop it. And now let's see that how we are going to perform the testing. Now, before starting with the testing of the controller layer, let me first of all show you that how we tested the repository layer. Then I will show you how we tested the service layer. Again, for that, I will be just copy pasting the required code only, and I will explain you the required annotations. And then for the controller layer, we are going to code step by step. Yeah. Then for this, first of all, since we need to test something today, hence we require a testing dependency for which we need to go to this pom.xml. Now here, as you know me, generally what I do is that till the point I don't need a particular functionality, I don't add that particular dependency. Hence, till now, there was no need of testing the application. Hence, I always used to remove the testing dependency. Otherwise, it is always available by default from the Spring Boot only. But before we go on and add it, there is some issue. So here it says there is a newer patch version of Spring Boot available, that is 3.4.5. Now, since I'm going to code and I'm going to test it only, so let's update it something like this. So if you wish, you can directly click here and it will update. Otherwise, you can just go here and you can make a change something like this and you can just save it. So it is going to download all the required dependencies as per the latest version. It may take time, it may not take time, depending how many changes are going to be there. Yeah. So after this, let's go on for this particular one and let's start adding the dependencies. So here, first of all, if I search for this test, so you see that for test, I'm not getting any specific test starter dependency. The reason is that this test is by default available. Hence, we don't need to search it like this. Yeah. So we are not going to select anything from this, and instead we will just click on next. And here, let me just increase it something like this. I will click here. Then now let's go one by one. So I don't need this URL. Next one, I don't need licenses. I don't need this one also. I need this one. Okay. So I will click on something like this, that is copy it from left to right. So this has been done, and you can just see here, and again as I say that okay, there should be some pop-up that yes, I have copied or something like this. Let's go on next one. And yeah, see, for this error they are also giving the pop-up. Then for copying also they should be giving something. Yeah. So click on cancel and say finish. And yes, this is something which we needed for today's demo, that is Spring Boot starter test, and that's it. Now, the best part is that for our testing, we will be requiring JUnit, and the JUnit will be the latest version, that is JUnit 5. Now, that is going to be automatically available to us. We don't need to add any dependency for that particular part. Not only this, the Mockito also is going to be available automatically to us. We don't need to add anything for this. If you just want to know how they are automatically available, you can go to this dependency hierarchy somewhere here, and you can close this, and this web also, data JPA, validation, all these you can close. Now you can just check under this Spring Boot starter test. You can see which all things are available as a part of it. So this JUnit Jupyter, Hamcrest, then this Mockito, and all these things are by default available. Yeah. So hence you don't need to worry much. Let's go back to this pom.xml and close it. Now, after this, what I will do is I will go to this src test Java, and here I will start copy pasting first of all the classes related to the repository testing, and then I will explain what we have done there in the previous playlist. Now here, as you can see, that only for the repository testing, we have added 3 packages under src test Java. I will explain one by one that why we need 3 packages here. So first of all, I will go for this one, that is owner repository IMPL test. Now the main thing which you need to remember here, that whatever the class you are testing. So here my main goal was to test the owner repository. So your test class name also should be similar to that class only, so that it's easier to understand. Now the next thing is that in owner repository, automatically we were getting the methods from this JPA repository only. Now whatever the method is coming automatically, we don't need to test it, because that is already a tested method. Yeah. And even if, let's say, we will say that okay, there is some issue in that method, what you are going to do with that? Yeah, you can't do anything with that particular part. Yeah. So we can test only that thing which we have coded on our own. And that is something very important when you will start doing the unit testing of any particular layer. So since we have created only one custom method here, so we are going to test only this method, and that also basically this query only, whether it is working fine or not. So let's see. So first of all, let's go through these annotations one by one. Now, for this repository layer, the number one annotation which we need is data JPA test. So what this annotation will do is, it is going to automatically focus, or it is going to automatically start only those beans or only those components which are required for your JPA, not your complete application. Only the things for your JPA things only. That is the database part, the transactional, and all those things only. Yeah. And this is going to be by default transactional, which means the moment your test is going to complete, then whatever the changes it has made in the database, they are going to roll back here. So it is not a case that once you have executed a test case, the changes are going to remain in your database. They will get rolled back. Another interesting part is that it is going to make usage of the dummy database, not the actual one. So they also use an embedded in-memory database, not the actual one. That is, they are not going to depend on your MySQL database. Yep. The only thing is, for this in-memory database, we need to add a dependency, which we are going to add in some time. Now let's go back here. So that was the first annotation only for the repository. Now the next one is, we need to tell it that which entity you need to scan in order to test this repository layer. Because you see, this repository is dependent on this owner entity class, pet entity, and all these things. So here we are saying that scan these packages, com.abhishekvarma a10.entity, because there only all my entity classes exist. In case you say, what if my entity classes are a part of two different packages, then also no need to worry, because this base packages is going to accept a string array. So you can just create it as an array, and there you can provide it as a comma separated things. Then after this, the next thing is that here you need to enable these JPA repositories. So again, that needs to be done. And there you need to mention the class which you are going to test here. Because again, there can be multiple repository class in the reality. But at a time, you just want to test a particular class only. So that class name you need to mention here. Then this context configuration. So what happens is that if you are not going to add this one, and then you will just run with the help of other three annotations. So what it will do is, first of all, it will try to identify a class which is annotated with @Spring Boot application annotation. So it will try to identify this class, and it will say that, okay, I will run this class also. Now the moment it is going to run this class, then what will happen? Since this class is going to run, it is going to create a bean for your controller layer also, service layer also, and all other things also, which were not even required for your testing. Yeah? And we don't need all those things. We say we only need the bean for the repository and the required stuff. So what we will do is we will try to fool it. And how we are going to fool it? We will say context configuration. So we will say that for you, we have created a new configuration class. So don't go for it. And instead, we have created a new configuration class, something like this, test config. On this, we just need to say @configuration and nothing else. Now, in case you say, no, for this also I need some custom beans, then you can create those beans here. Otherwise, like in my scenario, I don't need anything like this, and hence it is empty. So that we have done, and we have mentioned the class name here. So that was another annotation. Now after this, the things are going to be very simple. Whatever the class you want to test. So for this, obviously you are going to invoke the method. So like here, I wish to test the method to like find all the owners by their pet date of birth range. So that means I need to invoke the method. Now, if you need to invoke this method, for which you need the object of this particular interface. Yes, but here we can't simply say new of owner repository IMPL. This is Spring Boot. Hence, we will say it as auto-wired. Yeah? So this way we are going to do. And then in each and every your test case, we will be saying given, when, and then. So in the given part, what we are doing is, first of all, we are going to save 3 dummy owners in our database. So these we are going to save. We are going to provide some test input also. Then in the when condition, we will say that whenever we are going to invoke this method, then let's see what is going to happen. And then in the then part, we are going to do our assertions. Again, in the Spring Data JPA playlist, I have covered this thing in detail. There is a specific video on unit testing of this particular layer. Now, after this, let's go first of all to this pom.xml, because as I said, we need to add a dependency for the embedded in-memory database. So for this, again, we will go here. And here what I will do is, here we are going to search for this H2, that is H2 database. Here let's click on next. And again, we need to do something like this. So here let's click on this, and yeah, I need this one. So I will select this only, and I will say finish here, because I know that, okay, only this one is going to be there. And in scope, I will say that, okay, this is only needed for the testing scope. Otherwise, I don't need this H2 as of now. So this we have added. Now, one more small thing left is that now we need to go to this SRC main resources. Now here, you see that just to make your work easier, so that whenever you will download my demos, you can get automatically whatever the data I'm using here in my demos also as it is, so that you can try the things. So what I do is I provide it in data.sql. But then what happens, the moment you are going to add H2, then it will try to insert all this data directly in the database. And that we don't need here. So what we will do here is that here we are going to add one more property, and that is going to look something like this. That is Spring SQL init mode never. Again, in the Spring Data JPA playlist, I have covered this property in detail. Yeah. So here I'm not going to explain much. And now the time is that we need to run. You will say, okay, Abhishek, you didn't explain about this test data util. So this class, the only purpose is that here what happens, as you saw, that I need to create some dummy data. Now, in order to create some dummy data, only one option was that here I will say owner, new of owner, then one by one, I'm going to set all the values and something like this. But I don't want to do anything like all those things here itself. Otherwise, this class will become too big. Yeah. And you see that I need to repeat the things multiple times. So what I have done is I have created those specific methods here of setting the values and something like this. And from there, I'm invoking. And these are used only for the testing part. Yeah. Because the thing is that in these entity classes, I haven't added the Lombok annotations in detail. Yeah. So that's the reason. Otherwise, you could not have, I mean, there was no need to create this thing also. Yeah? But I didn't added those things. So that was the thing. So now let's go on for this particular one. And what we will do is we will go here and let's execute it. So run as and JUnit test. So automatically, if you have added @test annotation, it will identify that there are some test cases and it has to run. Now you see, I have added two test cases here. First for the, I mean, this particular that it should return me owners, and the second one should return me empty list, something like this. Yeah. So I will scroll it something like this, and I will scroll it up. So it will go here, and here you see. So it will say owner repository impl test, and both of these tests are running, and hence we are getting a green bar here. You can go to console and you can see that this time it has made usage of H2 database. Since it has made usage of H2 database, so it has to add the, I mean, create all these tables again and again, and then it has inserted the data because of our this particular repository testing only. Yeah. So because of this saving, it has inserted that particular data. So this was the thing which we learned in detail in Spring Data JP playlist. Now let's go on and copy and paste the next one, that is the service layer. So guys, the service layer is going to look something like this. And here you will see that we are having only two annotations on top of the class. The first one is Spring Boot Test. So what this will do is that here we are going to say that which all classes you need to load in order to test this class. That is, for which all class you need to create the bean. Now, since we are testing only the service layer here and that to owner service, so we will say that only create beans for the owner service IMPL and the owner mapper IMPL, only for these two. So here you can't say owner service. Yeah, so you can't give the name of interface. You need to provide the name of the implementation class. So that is the purpose. Otherwise, if you are not going to mention something like this, then by default, it is going to create the beans for all the classes, which was not needed here. Then after this, you see that in the actual service implementation, so if I go somewhere here, so you see we are making usage of these properties. And these properties we are using with the help of @value. Now, how we are reading this? Because for that, we will go to this demo and there we say messages.properties. So because of this, everything happens here. But here, if you see, here we are saying only load these two classes only. So that means it is not going to load demo.class. And hence it doesn't knows that from where to pick these properties. So that's why in the demo.class we say @property source, and here we say @test property source, so that it can inject those properties as and when required. And then after this, the things are going to be easy. Whatever the method you need to test, so just provide the method name, say @test, and within that you give the three things, that is given, when, and then. Now here you see that since I need to test the save owner method of the service layer, hence again I need the object of the service layer. So what I will do, I will auto wire that particular thing. Then again for that particular thing, I need some object of owner mapper also. So I need to auto wire that particular part also, because owner mapper is a separate class. Yeah? So here it is going to create a bean. And here we are saying that, okay, after creating a bean, inject that particular bean. Yeah. Then you will say that, okay, Abhishek, this service layer is also dependent on the repository layer. So why didn't you created the bean for the repository layer? Because my goal for this particular class was only to test the service logic. So what I'm assuming is that maybe the repository layer is not yet ready. or the repository logic is not yet created completely. Okay, there may be some issues in that. Hence, what I will do is, instead of depending on the actual bean of repository, I will say Mockito bean of repository, which means that now what I can do is I can say here that whenever I will invoke any method of owner repository, then it is going to provide me this mock response. So I'm not going to invoke the actual thing. Instead, I will be invoking the mock one. So let's see what it will do. So first of all, here when you will say save owner, so what it will do is it will go to this implementation. There it will say that, okay, with the help of owner mapper, I need to convert the owner DTO to owner. So then what will happen? Since you have auto-wired owner mapper, so it will make usage of the actual owner mapper IMPL and it will convert the data. So that job is done simply like it used to happen here. Then after this, we are saying owner repository.save. And for this, we are invoking the actual method of the owner repository. Now, if I will invoke the actual method of owner repository, then it will save in the actual data, but that I don't want. Also, I don't need the actual layer, and maybe that layer is not yet ready. So what I will do is I will say that in between this method, if at any point of time I will invoke the save method of owner repository, then always return me this dummy data, that is expected owner. So here it is going to return me some dummy data here. So for this, I'm making usage of Mockito. So you see that these when and then return methods, each and everything is coming from Mockito, and Mockito is automatically available the moment you are going to add the dependency. And this is how our things are going to work fine. So in the given part, generally we say that whatever is the test input and then whatever we are expecting, that whenever we will invoke that method of some another layer, then do something like this. So at this point of time, when it will reach this line, then instead of calling the actual owner repository, it will invoke this method of owner repository and this thing will be returned, whatever we were expecting. So that will be returned, and then we will see that, okay, whether our logic is working fine or not, something like this. And same way we can test multiple things also. Again, this thing has been explained in detail in the playlist of Spring Basics with Spring Boot, as well as Spring Data JPA playlist also. This has been covered in detail. And now what we are going to do is we are going to test it. So for this, we will go here and again we will say JUnit test. So let's go for this particular one and let's see what it will do. So you see, again for this it says 5 by 5, which means each and everything is working fine here as of now. Another interesting thing which we can do is we can go here on complete this SRC test Java and we can execute all at once. And not only execute, we can even check their coverage. We can check whether it is covering my complete application or not. So we will go there and we will say JUnit test. So now what it will do is it will run my test cases, as well as it will check how much application coverage it is doing. Yeah. So let's see. So it is taking time. Yeah. So this time here it says 7 by 7. So this 7 by 7 means that first of all, for the owner repository, it has executed 2 methods, and for the service layer, it has executed these 5 different methods. And here on to this particular part, somewhere I can see this coverage. So let me bring it here. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it keeps on moving from here and there. And how to add this coverage, because this is not by default available, that I have shown in some different video. Link is available in the description. Yeah. So here you see, as of now, for the overall demo, we are covering it as 67.8%, which is a good number. Yeah. But here you see, this number contains the coverage of each and everything, even for the test cases and that. So we don't need to think of that. What we will see is we will just check that how much service layer it is covering. So for the service layer, we are covering 100%, which means our test cases are well enough. Now let's see for the controller layer. Controller layer, it is still 0%, which means we are not covering the controller layer at all. Yeah. And all other things you don't need to worry. The controller advice, util, DTO, entity, that you can ignore. Your main focus should be what you are testing, whether you are testing it completely or not. You don't need to reach always 100%, but at least the number should be more than 80%. Yeah. If you are going for 100%, that's again, it's well and good. So as of now, just remember, overall it was 67.8 and for controller it was still 0. Now let's go on for something like this. Let's close all these things and let's go for this controller. You will say that, okay, Abhishek, you were saying that you are going to code and now you have again copy pasted this controller. But trust me, guys, this is just an empty. Yeah. So first of all, for all these test classes, since JUnit 5 onwards, you don't need to make them public. As a good practice, they should be default by scope. Yeah. So this thing is mandatory here. So something like this. And here the part is that, okay, now we need to add the annotations. So for this one, which annotation should we add? So for repository, you remember we said @data JP test. Now for the service, we said Spring Boot test. So for this one, what should we say? Should we say data JP test? Answer is no. We are not going to test the repository layer. Should we say Spring Boot test? And we can say that. So what we can do is we can copy something like this, and let me close it from here. Then let me come to this particular part. And here what I can do is I can just simply say owner controller, something like this. And then here I can remove this owner IMPL. So something like this I can do, and this should work fine for me. But the problem is, if you are going to say something like this, then you need to run it with the actual server also. But this is my test case. I don't want to run it with the actual server because this layer is going to contain my APIs. So I don't want to test it with the actual server. And hence what I will do is, instead of saying Spring Boot test, I will be saying here web MVC test. So this is the annotation which we are going to use here. And then you don't need to mention all these classes or something like this. You just need to provide the class which you wish to test here. Yeah. So this is the web MVC test. So like for database, it was data JP test. For this, it is web MVC test, something like this. Yeah. And mainly it is for controllers only. And here then we need to provide the class for which we want to test. Since we want to test only the owner controller, hence we are providing this name. In case there are multiple classes which you want to test, so you can provide the multiple names also. Now what it will do is that by default, automatically it is going to provide you all the components which are required for Spring MVC. All the components means that all the things which are annotated with @controller, the controller advice, and all these things will be automatically available to you. And you can also say it is going to provide you something like a server environment. Not the actual server, but something like a server environment here. Yeah. So all these things will be automatically available to us. Now, after this, the next part is that, okay, now obviously we need to test the method. So what should we do? So till now what we were doing, we were first of all, what we were auto wiring. So we were auto wiring the class which we were testing. The reason was very simple, because we used to invoke the method. But here if you see, I'm not going to invoke and also you will say that, okay, Abhishek, why these are like red colors and something like this? So this happened because of this coverage. So coverage said that, okay, these lines are not getting tested. And if you just want to get rid of, you just need to make a small edit in this and just recompile. That's it. Nothing much. Okay. Or you can just say Maven clean package. So it will recompile and it will remove those colors. Yep. So now you remember that we never said that owner controller dot save owner. What used to happen was that from the postman, we used to hit some particular API, and that particular API used to invoke this particular method. Yeah. So that API used to automatically come here, invoke something like this, map with this post mapping, and then things used to work fine. Hence, there is no fun of saying @autowired owner controller. Instead, we will be saying here @autowired, something like this. And after this, what we will do is we will say here private mock MVC. So this is the thing which you need to say, guys, that is mock MVC here. So this we need to auto wire. Now with the help of this mock MVC, what we will do is we are going to invoke the same behavior like post mapping, get mapping, all those JSONs and each and everything. Okay, we don't need to invoke the particular method as such. And then after this, we can provide that particular method which we want to test. So here I will provide a scenario, something like this. And the scenario is that, first of all, I want to test the save owner method. See the way I'm writing the method names. So first of all, it should start with test. Then we say which method I want to test, save owner. What I'm expecting. So I'm saying when owner DTO is valid. So whenever I'm going to pass an valid owner DTO, I should be getting created, or it should be returning created to me. Yeah. So this is something which I want here. And this one I'm going to annotate with @test, and automatically it will be using with the help of JUnit 5. So this way it is going to work. And within this, first of all, as a good practice, let's divide our code in two parts. Given, then we will say here when, and then we are going to say here then. Given, when, and then. Okay. So in the given, we are going to provide some dummy data. In the when, we are going to invoke the actual thing. And in the then part, we are going to do the assertions. Yeah. Then after this, the next thing. So here only the part which is left is that, okay, now we need to invoke. So first of all, let's go for the when part, and then we will focus on given and then part. So we will say here mock MVC, and then the method is perform here. So this is the method name, and you see it is going to accept something as a request builder. So we will say perform. Now instead of passing request builder, what we will do is we will pass it the class of that particular one, that is mock MVC request builders. Yeah. So this is something we are going to pass here, mock MVC request builders, and then we will say here dot, and with the help of this we are going to invoke the method post. Yeah. So this post we are going to say, and within this we are going to provide our API. So we will say that whenever we are going to this owner's API. Yeah. So this is going to be the one. Now after this, since it is going to be owner's API, you see that you can accept data type in the JSON format also, XML format also. So here we need to mention which kind of content type we are going to accept. So after this post only, so let me just go here. So after this post only, you can put a dot, and then it is going to look something like this, content, and then it will be like content type, and this media type you can pick. Yeah. So here we will say it as something like this, media type, and then what I will do is here I will say application underscore JSON. So it will look something like this, guys. Yeah. So this one, and then after this, obviously I need to provide my input. So after this I will say dot content, something like this, and here let's say I will be providing some JSON input. Okay. So in some time we will be creating this. As of now, let's say it as JSON input, and in the given part, let's create that JSON input. So it is going to look something like this, JSON input, and yeah, this is the one, guys. So this is the way it is going to look like. Now the JSON input is available here. So let's go for this one. Let's copy. Okay, not copy this complete thing. Okay, now let's copy this particular part. So I will copy it from here. I will go. Now since it is multi-line, so instead of making usage of a string, we will be making usage of a text block. So for this, we will make usage of these 3 inverted commas. Yeah. These are inverted commas or double inverted commas. What do we say? Yeah. Or triple inverted commas, triple double inverted commas. Yeah. Something like this. Yeah. So this is how it is going to look like. This is your input, guys. Okay. Which we have provided here. So this is the thing. So here as of now, we have only provided what is going to be the input. Now afterwards, for this part only. Yeah. So here itself, what we will do is we will say here dot, and here we will say and expect. So this is going to be and expect, something like this. And here we will say that I'm expecting the status to be as is created. So this status should be is created, and this status needs to be okay, auto input, something like this. So status should be is created, and then I'm also expecting some output here. So I will say and expect the JSON path. So your output, you are going to point with the help of JSON path. So you will say JSON path, and within this we will say this dollar symbol. Yeah. Now it's not a case that I like this dollar symbol as such, but what happens is that the moment you are going to execute it something like this, then here you remember that it gave you an output as 73. So with the help of this dollar symbol, you can point this output. Yeah. So here what I will do is that with this dollar symbol, we are going to point the root, and then we are going to say value, let's say 1 as of now. Okay. So as of now, let me put a dummy value, something as 1, that I'm expecting that output should be 1 every time. And again, for this JSON path, let's do it from this mock MVC result methods. So this is not a part of request, but a part of result. So here we will say it like this. And here, what's the issue? Throw the exception. Yeah. So this is how it is going to look like. Yeah. So this is the case, guys. Yeah. Looking better, okay, this sounds good. So let's see whether it is going to work fine or not. So what we will do is we will, okay, not sure why again and again I keep on going there. So we will just go here and let's try to run it as JUnit test. Yep. So let's see what is going to happen now. So on executing, you see we are getting some error, and the error, what it says that, okay, there is some confusion here. It says, okay, let's check in console. So it says there is no qualifying bean of type service. Okay, it says service is not available. You have to auto-wire it. Yeah, very simple. Because here, if you remember, we said create only bean for the controller. So no need for the service. So the point is, I don't need the actual service. Instead, I want the Mockito one. So what I will do is I will say here Mockito, something like this, Mockito, and then I'm going to say bean, and then I'm going to say here private, and then here I'm going to say owner service, which is going to look like this. Then I will say owner service, which is again going to look something like this, guys, owner service, and let's say Control Shift O. So, and here it should be bean. Okay, so I just keep on doing the spelling mistake, so you can ignore. So yeah, we have got something like this. Now the point is, since we have got it something like this, then that means that it should be saving it in the database. Yeah? Or it should be calling, okay, let's see what will happen. As of now, we are just saying Mockito bean. Here, I'm not providing that when this method should do, then what should happen and all those things. Again, okay, my bad. See, that's a habit. So since all these demos, there is a habit that I used to go there, I used to run. So that's the thing which we call as habit. And yeah, let's go for this. And that also can be a habit that if you will keep on watching one video daily, then it will become a habit that you will subscribe to this channel and all those things also. So please subscribe. And here what it says that, okay, it was expecting 1, but it was 0. Okay, so what happens is that here, I guess it is trying to save it in the actual database. Now, since that is the H2 database here, so what it is doing, it is trying to saving in the H2 database, and from there it is getting output as 0. But the point is, we don't want to save it there in that particular 0 or something like this. Instead, what I want is, I want a dummy database. I don't want to invoke anything actual here. So for this, what I will be doing is, I will say it something like this. So I will go to this part and I will say it like this. Whenever I'm going to invoke the save owner method of the owner service, then return me 1 only. Yep. So here you can say something like this, or another better way, you can say here something as expected. So you can say here expected owner ID, and there you can say 1. And then what you can do is that you can copy this particular thing. You can mention it somewhere here, and also you can mention it somewhere here. So you will say that, okay, from that service layer, you will be getting this, and then it should also be returning the same thing only. The next thing is, okay, then this needs this input owner DTO. So what we will do is that here we are going to provide it something like this, and here we will say owner DTO. Then here we are going to provide it like this, and now here let's say null in this particular way. So here let's say null, and here this DTO should be capital. So here let's write it like this. Again, Control Shift O. Let's again execute, and this time let's see whether it will work or not. Yep. So earlier it was failing because I was expecting 1, it was returning me 0. Now let's see what it will do. So this time it says that, okay, again it is still same. It says that, okay, it was expecting 1 but it was 0, something like this. What happened? It is still not working. The reason for this time, which I feel, is that, okay, here I'm providing some different kind of a thing. Like I'm providing this input to my controller layer, but to the service layer, I'm just passing null here. Okay, so I'm not providing anything to my service layer. Now, since we are not providing anything to the service layer, then what happens is that then it may be trying to provide me some dummy data here. Yeah. So that is the scenario for this particular one. So for this, what we will do is we need to think of a scenario where we can convert this particular JSON input to a particular owner DTO. So for this, what we will do is here we will be taking care of, or we will be taking help of private static final, something like this. And here we will say object mapper. Okay, so this is a class which we are getting, and here we are going to say object mapper, something like this, guys. And yeah, this is the one. Yeah, see, such a simple test case also sometimes requires so many extra things. Okay, so we need this object mapper. So this object mapper, you can see that it is going to coming from this JSON data bind only. Okay, so what's the main purpose of this object mapper is, let me try to explain you with the help of this one. Now see, from your Postman, you used to provide some this kind of a data in the JSON format. But then when it used to come to your owner controller, it used to get automatically mapped with the owner DDO. Yeah. So there this JSON, this object mapper was used to come into the picture behind the scenes. But this time what is happening, that here you are providing the JSON input, something like this. And then you want it to be converted to the owner DDO. So automatically it can't happen. Hence, we need to take help of the object mapper explicitly. So for this, things are very simple. Trust me, it's very simple. We just need to go here and we will say object mapper, and then we are going to say read value here. Okay, now this one is going to accept two arguments. First one is going to be your JSON input, whatever is the thing, and second one is whatever the output you are expecting. So I'm expecting it to return me owner DTO dot class, something like this, and here I will again say in this particular way. Yeah, so now it will do the conversion for me to this owner DTO, and now let's hope it will provide me the correct output. Otherwise, what's the fun of making this particular video if it is not working? I mean, better I should have tried it first of all. Okay, again an error. But this time it's a different error. It says this invalid definition exception, Java 8 date, time, and local date is not supported by default. And then it provides me some this info also. So it says add module, JSON, data type, JSON, and something like this. So what it says is that by default, when you are explicitly making usage of this object mapper, then you won't be able to convert the local date or local date time or anything related with this Java 8 date time API. So that is not going to be available because you are doing it on your own. Hence, you need to add this module. Okay. Now, if we wish to add this module, so for this, the number one step is that we need to go to this particular pom.xml, and then let's go to at end of this particular one. And here what we are going to do is, here we will be adding one more dependency. And for this, instead of again like going through that big process, let me directly, okay, what happened? Why it did something like this? So let me directly come here and paste the dependency. So the dependency is JSON data type JSR 310. See, it's the same thing. The name have been provided here. I'm not sure whether it's visible or not, or let's see if it is in the console also. So in console, it is not providing the name. So yeah, that's the only option. So here this name is not that much big, but it's provide me the complete thing. com.faster.xml JSON data type. The group ID it has mentioned, and then the artifact ID also has been mentioned by this only. So it is only providing me. So it's not a case that I had to remember something like this. And here, let's just save it something like this. And after this, one more small thing. Okay. Things are not that easy here, guys. Yeah. One more small thing we need to do, and that is before using this object mapper. So as of now, we just added the dependency. Now we need to add the module in this one also. So here we are going to say register module, something like this. So it should be module, and within this we need to say something as new of Java, and then it should be Java time module. So again, let's say it like this, and here it should be like this, new of Java time module. So this is a way it will be getting completely added. First of all, dependency, so that you can get this input, and then you need to register the module, something like this. And see, the message was also saying me something like this only, that it is not enabled by default, and you need to enable this by adding the module. Yeah. So now let's again give a try, and let's see whether it is going to work fine this time or not. So let's hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So yeah, this time we are getting green. So finally, we were able to run our test case. Okay. after so much amount of hard work, our things are working fine. And now let's do a quick thing what we have done here. So first of all, we said here mock MVC. With the help of mock MVC, we said here perform, and then within that we are saying what kind of method we wish to invoke, and we provided the API. You can assume it to be the same way like you are used to do from the Postman. Then in the Postman also, at somewhere in these headers, you used to provide this content type as application JSON. It used to happen automatically. The moment you used to put here, select here JSON, it used to do that automatically for you. Here we need to do on our own content type application JSON, and then we need to provide the content JSON input, which I'm doing somewhere here. Then after this, I'm saying what I'm expecting status to be is created, because here it should be 201 created if everything goes fine. And the output, so there I'm saying with the help of dollar, I'm pointing to the root of this particular output. Yeah. And then I'm saying it should be containing a value which should be same as this expected owner. Then I'm saying that owner service, I'm not going to invoke the actual one, instead the mocking one. And there I'm saying that whenever I invoke this method, then return me this particular output so that it can match whatever I'm expecting. Yeah. So that we are doing, because now you may say that, okay, Abhishek, you are just invoking and then returning it something like this. Because what happens is many times, like here we are not doing anything much, but many times, let's say that after getting this output here in the owner ID, you are performing some logic also. Then in that case, it becomes very important to test that kind of a method. Here it was very simple in this case. Yeah. Then the next question was how to convert it to owner DTO with the help of object mapper. Then object mapper, you just need to create object like this, but it is not going to work by default in case you are having something related to the datetime API. If you don't have this datetime API component, let's say we would have tested it with the help of wild animal, then we would have not received this kind of error, and hence it would have worked fine for us. Yeah? So these are the things which needs to be done. But then there is one small drawback, or you can say one small issue with this. Now just assume that here this method is looking so big. It started on line number 33, then it is going till line number 65. Then there you will be writing so many methods also. And then putting this kind of a JSON input within your Java class looks ugly. Like this is not a good practice, guys. Okay. So what we will do is that here we are going to this particular one, what we say as this util. And here what I have done is that here I have created a method that is convert to JSON. Okay. I mean, you can ignore these green and red colors. So there is this convert JSON. What it will do is to this, we are just going to provide the name of a particular JSON file. Yeah. And then what it will do is it will read from that particular JSON file and then convert it to a string for you guys, a simple string. So let's copy this one. So what I will do is I will copy this method and I will be providing it here. Then what I will do is that here I will go to this particular one, and here I'm going to say string, or what I will do is let me just remove this complete part. So now I don't need all these things, and I will directly say it in this way. And here I will be providing a path. So here as of now, let me say this double inverted commas, and it should be from this. Okay, it's not coming. So let me just say here test and then data and then util something like this and dot. Yeah. So now it should be coming. So this we will be doing. So now isn't it looking smaller? So automatically that will do the conversion for me. Now the question is it needs the file name. So what we will do here is we will do something like this. If you wish, you can directly provide, that's not an issue. Okay. So we will say it like this, and here we are going to provide a file name owner underscore input, and then we are going to say it as JSON something like this. Okay. So this way we are going to provide a file name. Then this file name will go here, and that will automatically convert to a string. First of all, the normal string from that JSON, like it needs to read from a file and provide you as a string, and then rest of the things are going to remain same only. Now the only thing left is where is this owner input JSON file? So that's not available here. Now generally you see that whenever we want some file or something like this, we provide under SRC main resources, but this one is related to the test. So we need SRC test resources, which we don't have. So let's create that folder first. So let's go here, let's go to this one, let's go here and create this folder, and here let's call it as resources, something like this one. And here what I will do is I will directly copy paste not only this one but few more extra files, and now it is going to look something like this, guys. Okay, so this is my owner input JSON. So here I have provided the complete JSON, and see here it is looking much more better. So what you can just simply do is copy the things from here, because here it is completely formatted, and paste it here as it is. Yeah, that's simple. And then what it will do is it will read from that particular file with the help of this method, convert to a simple string, and then your method will keep on working. And here, since this when and then came together only, not a separate thing, so hence there is no benefit of writing it like this. Now this one looks much more better. And now let's do a quick testing for this, whether it is still working or not. Maybe after this change it may again start throwing some kind of error or some kind of issue, who knows. So yeah, luckily it is working fine, and yes, things are working good for us. Now after this, let's start doing the testing for others also. Yeah? So what I have done is that I have directly copy pasted the next method, because now you already know that which all things are required, and most of the things are going to be copy paste only. So now our main focus should be on how to test different kinds of APIs or different kinds of methods. So let's learn that particular part. So here the next goal is that this method can throw some kind of bad request also. Like you saw here, it was returning 400 bad request, and then it is going to look something like this. So this time the output is going to be a list, and within that list we are going to have error DDU. So it's a list of error DDU. So for this, what we will do is, first of all, in the JSON file name, this time we will say owner input empty JSON. So this empty JSON is going to look like this, guys. We are not providing anything here. Okay, so I'm not testing any particular thing. Instead, I'm just saying empty JSON. There are going to be so many errors in this particular one. Then what I'm saying, convert it to the JSON input, something like this. Then again the same thing. So this part is simple copy paste. So perform post owners content type JSON content JSON input. What I'm expecting this time, a bad request, and then a message. So I will say dollar here. Now this time after dollar, you see it's not a direct number, something like this. Instead, it's a list. So I will say the first argument of the list. Okay, there can be multiple arguments, like here in the list there can be multiple elements, but within the first element of the list there should be something like a message. That means I will be getting some kind of a message. I'm not looking for the exact message. If you wish, you can do that also. I will show you in the next test how to do that one. But what I'm just saying is that it should exist. So that's it. Okay. So I'm not looking at how many these error messages or each and everything. Those, if you wish, you can try on your own. Instead of making it completely empty, you can just remove one or two variables only, and that also you can check. So this is the one, guys. Then next one is to find owner. Okay, and this one looks something like this. So here you see I'm saying test find owner. When owner ID is valid, it should return okay. So what I'm saying is that this time input owner ID should be 1. It can be anything. It is just your dummy data. I'm saying JSON file name is owner output JSON. So I'm going for this another JSON file. If you wish, you can go with the same owner input JSON also, but then it sounds very odd that, okay, this time it is going to be output, but then why you are calling it as input? Okay, then we are converting it to the expected JSON, something like this. We are converting it to the DTO also. And then we are saying that whenever we will invoke find owner method of owner service, then return me this expected owner DTO. Then here you see I'm saying mock MVC perform, then I'm saying get, I'm saying owners, and then this input owner ID from here. So that I'm saying, because you see it is going to be a path variable this time, not as a part of a body. Then I'm saying status should be okay, and then the JSON path. Then I'm saying dollar. Now see how I'm pointing. So this one I said for this particular one, okay, it's going for this. Okay, this was the error, but you have seen for the success message also that it is going to show you the complete body, something like this. Okay, again that body will look like this. So dollar is going to point your root. Then we are saying $.id, $.first name, $.last name. So this way we are going to point the variables. And then here we are saying .value, expected DTO. So whatever this expected DTO was, so we are comparing with its ID. So this way we are doing. So basically what we are testing here, we are testing whatever is coming from the service layer. Is it going as it is to the output to the user or not? So that is our main goal of testing here, whether the same thing is going or not. So in case, let's say that from the service layer, you got this expected owner detail, but still in the output, you were not getting these IDs or all these things, something like this, then there is some issue. Okay. Now let's again first of all test whether these three are working fine or not. Otherwise at the end we will find that okay, these were not working and I was just explaining you all these things. So okay, let's go here and we see, yeah, it's working. So till now it is completely working fine here, guys. Okay, then comes the next one. So for the next one here, we are going to provide it to be as something like this one, guys. Yeah. So here what I'm doing is I'm saying when owner ID is invalid, it should return me a bad request. So this time owner ID I'm saying 0. So you know, whenever it is 0 or negative, at that point of time it should be a bad request. Okay. So I guess for this one, like for negative, also it was saying owner ID must be a positive number. So here also I'm getting this bad request. Yeah. And I'm not checking the exact message as such. Okay. I'm again checking exist. If you say no, I want to check the exact message, in that case you can check this value. So you can say here value, and then within the message you can provide your exact message which you are hoping that it should return. Yeah, this one we are going to do in the next one. So your next method is going to look something like this, guys. Yeah, so this is how my next one is going to look like. And here first of all, let me say Control Shift O. So now what I'm saying, that whenever I will pass 1, so this time I'm hoping for the not found error message. So I'm saying whenever I will be passing 1, it seems to be a valid ID as such. Okay, so your controller is not going to throw any error, but from the service layer I'm saying throw this error, owner not found exception, and the message should be something like this. So I'm saying perform same like this, then I'm saying and expect is not found, and then message value. So here I'm checking for the exact value as it is. Yep. So it is completely up to you what you wish to do. You wish to check the exact message or what, or something like this. Let's again check whether all these things are working fine or not with the help of this JUnit test. So here if we go, so we will check it something like this, and yeah, we will see that okay, still all these are working still fine here. Yeah, so this is the way, and these are 5 test cases, 2 for the save owner and 3 for the find owner. Now the next but not the last is going to be your test, like where we have to provide the birth date range. Okay, so for this one again it's going to be very big, so it is going to look something like this. Let me say here in this way, Java util list, say next and type reference. Okay, and yeah, this way it is going to work. And why it is saying this type reference is okay, I guess there is an import issue with this particular one. So this where that import went, type reference, okay, it is here. So that's a wrong import, so I should not be importing from this. Instead I have to import the other one, that is from the Jackson. So it needs to be something like this, guys. Yeah, so this type reference needs to be from the Jackson. So what we are doing, again first of all in the given we are saying what are my input start dates, again some dummy dates, then I'm saying JSON file name. So this time my output is here. So this is a list output, hence I have created a separate one. Yep. Then in this one what I'm doing is, again I'm saying convert to the JSON, something like this, object mapper, read value. Since it is a list, so you can't simply say list of owner detail, something like this. Instead you need to make usage of the type reference. Whenever it is a list, map, set or something like this, you can't mention directly. Otherwise you remember that we used to mention directly like owner detail.class or like to whatever data you wish to convert. Then after this, the next part is that okay, whenever the service layer will be invoked, return this same output. And then here we are saying perform get. This time this is a request param. So you can't say plus or that way. Like if you wish, that also can be done. So what you can simply do is you can say here plus, then you can say something like question mark, and then there also you can provide. But that's not a good practice since it is your path param. Instead you should be providing it like this, dot param and that dot param, something like this. Okay, so this is the right way of doing it. Then we say and expect is okay, and then this time it is a list. So I'm saying list dot first argument. So only first item we are checking. If you wish, you can check other items also, but we are checking only one item. And here we also know that, okay, it is going to contain one item only. So this is how it is going to look like, guys. Okay, so let's save it again and let's again give it a try, something like this. Let's hope it should be working. So if we go here, so okay, and yeah, I hope it's working fine. So 6 out of 6. Okay, so now this was the right way of testing it. And now for the next two, there are two more. So let me just copy them directly and I will paste here something like this. Yeah. So here what we say. So in this one, we say that test get all honors, but this time I'm hoping for a bad request. So bad request, that means that, okay, one of these inputs is going to be wrong or something like this. Okay, so that way you see I'm saying here input and date of a future one. So hence this time I will be getting a bad request, because as per my logic, both start date and end date should be either past or present maximum. Yep. I mean, you can't have a pet who is going to take birth in future. That is not possible. So hence this is the one. So I'm saying is bad request, and again I'm just saying exist. If you wish, you can check the exact message. Then I'm having the next one. There I'm saying conflict. This time the issue is the start date is after the end date. Okay, so in this one you see start date is of 2023, end date is of 2022. So it will create an issue in the service layer. So I'm checking the exact message, something like this, and I'm saying from the service layer I will be getting this kind of an exception, something like this. That is validation exception, guys. Yeah, so it should be is conflict and something like this. Okay, so this is the way to try out all these things. And now what we can do is we can test the complete thing. So last time, if I show you this one again, so you remember it was like 67.8 overall, and for controller it was 0%. Now let's see. So we will go here and we will say JUnit test. So here it is running, and you can see that, okay, now it says everything is green, 15 out of 15 pass. Let's go to this coverage, and here we can see now our controller is also 100% clear. So we were able to test our controller completely. In case you are not going to write so many test cases, so in that case it may say that, okay, I'm not able to test it completely, some in between only or something like this. And overall also it has been increased to 86.8%, which is again a very good number. Yeah, so hence in today's video we have seen how to test different methods of the controller layer. You saw most of the things were copy paste, so only this first method was important. So if you know how to write one method, then rest everything is going to be copy paste. Just some of the best practices you have to take care, like for this param, don't say question mark and all these and something like this. Okay, now if you will directly take help of ChatGPT, it may say that, okay, you can do that also, but trust me, this one is as per the best practices. So I hope you find it helpful. If yes, please do like the video and share it with your friends, and let's see in the next video. Till then, bye bye.